Oh, wait. You know what? I'm going to have to redo this. Okay, so I'm going to redo these real quick because the video, because it was a screen recording, the video didn't pick it up. So anyway, wrong pen. It still worked though. But I don't want to write on the board. All right, so we got 12, 15, 28, 27. All right, for this one, we're adding to solve the system by elimination. When we add the positive 3x and negative 3x, those cancel out and give me 0. This is 4y minus 1y, which gives me 3y. Bring down the equal sign. 6 plus 12 gives me 18. I'm trying to solve for y. I asked myself what's happening to y. It's being multiplied by 3. The opposite of multiplying by 3 is to divide by 3. We get that y equals 6. So remember, our solution is an ordered pair. I now know that the y value is 6. For the x value, I can choose either equation. I'm choosing the top one only because there's no negatives. If I can avoid working with negatives, I will, because that's usually a place where we'll make a mistake. So in place of that y right here, I'm going to put my 6. So I have plus 4 times 6 equals 6. I want to multiply first. That gives me a 24. Once it's simplified, that's when we start doing the inverse operations. I want to get the 3x alone. What's happening to it is we're adding 24, so we're going to subtract 24 on both sides. A positive 6 and negative 24. Integer rules say that you keep the sign of the bigger and subtract. That'll give me a negative 18. Still trying to get the x alone. It's being multiplied by 3. I do the opposite and divide by 3. Negative 18 divided by a positive 3 gives me a negative 6. So my solution is the ordered pair, negative 6, 6. All right, so at this time, y'all can go ahead and get out your Chromebooks. Make sure your name's on there. While you're getting out the Chromebooks, I'm going to show the objective for today. Don't forget, you guys, that tomorrow I'm not going to be here, but anyway, I know that y'all do not have school on Monday. However, I will be here. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I found out our meeting is in the morning at 8 a.m. until 11. So it'll be after that I'll be here printing the reports for IXLs. So make sure you have them done by Monday around 11 a.m. And then that's about it. So your objective for today is the same as it was yesterday. Students will write and solve inequalities in one variable to represent the constraints and situations and solve problems. Unit 4, again, we're writing and solving inequalities in one variable. So here we are with our word problem. Remember, the more we do these, the easier they get. Kyron is getting dinner for his drama club on the evening of their final rehearsal. The budget for the dinner is $60. What that means is he can spend no more than $60. He plans to buy some prepared dishes from the supermarket. The prepared dishes are sold by the pound, $5.29 per pound. So every pound we have, we add $5.29. He also plans to buy 2 large bottles of water that are $2.49 each. Question 1 wants us to represent these constraints in a situation mathematically. So we're going to write an inequality. If we use variables, we need to specify what each one means. So the only thing that we don't know right now is how many pounds of food he can get. So I'm going to say let X be the number of pounds of food. Okay, so let's set up our inequality. All the things that we've been doing are linear equations and inequalities. So think of y equals mx plus b, okay? I'm gonna just work on this part right now. Anytime you're seeing the words per or each, that's our slope or rate of change, okay? It's $5.29 per pound. So 5.29 times X, because X represents the number of pounds. Plus, I also have an additional fee. 2 large waters at $2.49 each. That's my beginning amount. Before I figure out the variable, I have to do that beginning amount. This is how much he is spending. I need this amount to be no more than 60. So which inequality symbol am I going to use? I need this amount to be less than or equal to 60. I can simplify this inequality by multiplying this out, and I get $5.08, less than or equal to 60. All right, so that's my inequality. The next part says, I'm sorry, this is 458. Let me erase this. Oops, wrong one. This is 458. Sorry. Thank you. All right, next. How many pounds of prepared dish can he buy? Show or explain your reasoning. So what we're going to do is solve this. I'm going to take this inequality, 5.29x plus 4.58 less than or equal to 60, and I want to solve for x. This is just like an equation. Here's my x. It's stuck with the 5.29, so I'm going to do the opposite of adding 458, and I'm going to subtract 458 from both sides. I'm left with $5.29 to 5.29 times x. Still needs to be less than or equal to $55.42. I'm still solving for x. What is happening to x is it's being multiplied by 5.29. I want to do the opposite and divide by 5.29. And I get that x has to be less than or equal to 10 point, this says 47, but if I round it up to 10.5, I won't have enough money. So I'm going to put 10.4. So what that means is he can buy 10.4 pounds of food. So the more equations like this we set up and do, the easier it's going to get. So let's look at our next one. Han is about to mow some lawns in his neighborhood. His lawnmower has a 5-gallon fuel tank, but he's not sure how much he has in it. He knows that his mower uses 0.4 of a gallon per hour. I see that per again. So I'm thinking about my slope and my rate of change. What are all the possible values for x, which is the number of hours that Han can mow without refilling the lawnmower? Write one or more inequality to represent this response. So if I think about this, every hour he's using 0.49. So that is going to be my rate of change. I'm sorry, not 0.49, 0.4. So 0.4 times x is the amount of hours he can do. And I know that this is this is the amount of gas that he will use. And I know that this has to be less than or equal to 5 gallons. To solve, I do the opposite. I'm going to instead of multiply by 0.4, divide by 0.4. And I get 12.5. What does this mean in context of the problem? if he has a full tank, he can mow for 12 and a half hours on a full tank. Okay. All right, let's look at a bunch of inequalities, and we're going to look at graphing them. Some things that you need to remember. This symbol means less than. On a number line, it is a hollow circle, an open circle. I also know on Desmos, when we're graphing these, we're going to get a dotted line. Less than or equal to. Less than or equal to is going to have a closed filled-in circle. When we graph these on Desmos, it will be a solid line. Remember for this less than too, those of you that get confused, if you think about opening the symbol up, it makes an L for less than. It's also going to be shaded to the left of our boundary line. All right, so let's do our next one, greater than. Greater than is going to go to the right. I always remember greater, right? It goes to the right. That's going to be a hollow circle and a dotted line because it doesn't have the equal sign. We're not including that value. And then finally, greater than or equal to is going to have that closed circle, and our boundary line will be a solid line. So let's look at Desmos and talk about graphing these. I am going to tell you, I know that most of you, if GoGuardian is working, I'm going to be entering, we're going to start working with the Desmos that comes for Louisiana because that is the one that is available on LeapTest. So it's going to look just a little bit different. It's going to have a green border, but it specifically says Louisiana version. So what I'm going to do is take these inequalities and graph them. So my very first one, I'm just going to type it in exactly as I see it. 6x. For that symbol, I don't have that on my keyboard, so I pull up the keyboard here, and I'm typing the less than or equal to 3x. My boundary line is the line that goes down, that vertical line. I see that it's solid and it's at the 0. So I'm looking for a solid dot on the 0, and it needs to be shaded to the left. So this has my solid dot on 0 right here. Right here, and it shades to the left. Solid dot, shades to the left. So it matches this graph. So F goes with number 1. The next inequality, 1/4 x is greater than 1/2. Sorry, that's a negative 1/2. Let me back that up. Negative 1/2. My boundary line, this is my boundary line going up and down right here. It is dotted. That tells me I'm looking for a hollow circle. The hollow circle should be on the -2. So I'm looking at the -2 going down. Where do I see a hollow circle? Right here. The shading goes to the right just like it does in Desmos. So E goes with number 2. Number 3, 5x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 7x. My boundary line is solid. That tells me I'm looking for a solid circle, and the solid circle should be on the 2 and shaded to the left. Solid circle on the 2 shades to the left. So B goes with the third inequality. The next one, 8x minus 2 is less than -4. I'm going to open a parenthesis, x minus 1. Close that parenthesis. My dotted line is on 0.5. As a decimal, if it helps you, that's going to be the fraction 1/2. So I'm looking for it to be halfway between 0 and 1. The dotted line going up and down here tells me that this is a hollow circle halfway between the 0 and the 1, right here. And it shades to the left. That is option D. For number 5, because it's starting out with a fraction like that, I start out hitting the slash or the divide. Now in the numerator, I'm going to type 4x minus 1. I'm going to go down to the denominator and type a 3. I arrow over. My inequality symbol is greater than -1. My boundary line is on -1/2. It's dotted, so it should be an open circle between 0 and -1 at -1/2 and shaded to the right. And finally, number 6, 12/5 minus x divided by 5 is less than or equal to x. I see it as a solid circle on the 2. It's a solid circle because this is a solid line on the 2, shaded to the right. So C goes with this one. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at these practice problems. Practice problem number 1, it says you have to explain how to find the solution set. So we're going to have to not just solve it, we're going to have to explain how we would. Remember, our goal is to get the variable isolated. X is being multiplied by 2, so how would I solve it? I would do the opposite and divide both sides by 2. I would get that x is less than 5. So to explain it, I would just say divide both sides by 2. All right, in the next problem, I know this is going to seem kind of foreign to y'all, but back in the day when we first had cell phones, we were allowed to talk on the phone as much as we wanted, but it cost extra for texts. And we actually had to try to calculate what was the best plan for us depending on how many texts we would send. So a cell phone company is offering 2 different texting plans. People who use plan A pay 10 cents for each text they send or receive. So again, that is talking about a rate. It's the amount we pay per. Every time you think about per, that's going to be a rate. So for plan A, in order to figure out my cost, I would have to multiply 10 cents times the number of texts. So in this it says, I'm sorry, let me just go ahead and finish reading it. People who use Plan B pay $12 a month and then pay an additional 2 cents for each text sent or received. A is asking us to write an inequality to represent the fact that it is cheaper for someone to use Plan A than Plan B. We're going to use X to represent the number of texts that they send and receive. So for Plan A, it's 10 cents times every text. For Plan B, this time it's only 2 cents per text, but there's a base fee or a beginning amount of $12. Our goal is to show that it's cheaper for A. So which inequality symbol would show that A is less than B? Plan B? That would be the less than symbol. Now we want to solve that inequality. To solve that inequality, my goal is to get the X alone. I'm going to subtract 0.02X on both sides of my inequality symbol. That leaves me 0.08X is less than 12. My next step, the opposite of multiplying X by 800ths, divide. So X is less than, when I divide this, I get 150. Let's talk about what that means. That means Plan A is cheaper if I send or receive less than 150 texts per month. I know that sounds crazy to y'all, but back in the day, that was really, we talked. We actually spoke on the phone. Remember, you can use Desmos to check yourself on these inequalities. If I were to graph the inequality that I came up with, which was 0.10x is less than 0.2x plus 12, I would have gotten a hollow dotted line, so it means it's less than, not equal to, 150. So no, my answer is correct. I didn't mean to do that. I'll close that. All right, number 4. Claire made an error when solving this. Describe the error that she made. So let's look at the steps to solve this inequality. The first thing we would do to get the X alone is get rid of this 3 by doing the opposite and subtracting 3 from both sides. She did that and she did it correctly. She's left with negative 4x is less than 20. The next thing she did was divide both sides by negative 4. So she got that x is less than negative 5. She made a mistake. One of the ways we can tell that she made a mistake is if we graphed this in Desmos, and I started with the original inequality, negative 4x plus 3 is less than 23. I could see right here that it should be x that is greater than, because it goes to the right of negative 5. What error did she make? She forgot that rule that says to reverse the inequality symbol when you multiply or divide by a negative number. When you multiply or divide by a negative. And we learned that first day. Number 5. Diego's goal is to walk more than 70,000 steps this week. The mean number of steps that Diego walked during the first 4 days of this week is 8,019. So first of all, his goal is to do more than 70,000. Mean, they're talking about the average. So the average he did each day for the first 4 days is 8,019. Part A says to write an inequality that expresses the mean number of steps that Diego needs to walk during the last 3 days of the week in order to walk more than 70,000 steps. Remember to define any variables that you use. Our variables are representing amounts we don't know. We don't know the mean number of steps that he still needs to walk. So I'm going to say let X be the mean number steps for the rest of the week. Okay, so think about your y equals mx plus b, okay? I'm going to start with the slope part. We have 3 days that we're going to be walking X. In addition to that, we've already walked for 4 days, 8,019 steps. I want this amount to be more than 70,000. I need to simplify this by multiplying right here. I'll get that 3x plus, sorry, I don't know where I came up with that 3x. What I need to do is multiply 4 times 8,019. So I get 3x plus 32,076 is greater than 70,000. I could use inverse operations to solve that, but it's not what part B is asking me to do. So part A just asked for me to set up this inequality, which I did. Part B is now saying if the mean number of steps that he did during those 30 days was 12,642, will he reach his goal of walking more than 70,000? So what B is asking me is that if I make X 12,642, did I meet my goal? Well, let's just plug that into the inequality and see if I get a true statement. If I did 3 times 12,642 plus the 32,076 he already walked, is that greater than 70,000 steps? When I plug this into a calculator, 3 times 12,642, I get 37,926. When I add that to 32,076, I get 70,002 steps. That is in fact greater, so he did meet his goal. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go into OnCourse. In OnCourse, there should be an activity there called Unit 4, Lessons 1 through 3 Practice. There's what, you got 12 questions there. It's worth 15 points. It is being graded on accuracy, but it is a minor grade. You can use your notes and you can use Desmos. This is due before you come back to class the next time. So for y'all, it'll be on Wednesday that it's due, before your class time. Make sure you get that done. You should have plenty enough time to finish that in class today. Do not forget your IXLs are due Monday morning. It says 8 a.m. in the document. However, I'm not going to, I have a meeting until about 11. So IXLs are what you're going to finish when you finish this activity online, and they are due Monday by 11 a.m. Hope y'all have a fantastic weekend.